Hello guys, today is day 14 of the 25 MCQ series. So this will go for 25 days and already 13 episodes are there. So you have to watch all those episodes because it has both static topics and also questions of last 12 to 24 months of current affair, and from these a lot of questions are going to come in your exam. It's important for 2021, 22, 23, whichever you are preparing, because a lot of static questions are also there. And in our channel a lot of playlists are started every day. Like yesterday we started science and tech episodes, today we started csat episodes. So all these are being shuffled and made because the prelims is nearing. Okay, because earlier we were working on a lot of mains playlist, like if you know ethics society, then post independence india. So that and all we have now reshuffled the schedules, and now we are working more on prelims oriented episodes. So please go and watch. Like just now 1 hour back the csat episode was there, and then sometime back the environment episode was there. So like that, many things are there, so please go and watch it. All is designed for your prelims. Okay, here science and tech about cryptocurrency, blockchain. Even last year 2020 a prelims question came on blockchain. Okay, and in mains also questions are coming. So please watch all these things and give your feedback so that we can make more and more episodes like this for you. Now, going back to the today's session, check your score, because if you're not getting above 15, that means your preparation is not to the right orientation. Now, Guru Shikhar Peak is the highest peak on which hills? So, Pir Panjal, Aravalis, Vindhya, Satpura. First thing is the location of all these places in the map you have to know. And Guru Shikhar Peak, it's in Aravalis. Okay, so there in Rajasthan, there is this Mount Abu and all, and there it is like important for Hindu religion also, Jaina religion also, because their temples and their monuments are there. Okay, so detailing are GK kind of facts, but the location is more important. Guru Shikhar Peak was asked once by UPSC long back, so it is located in the Aravalli Hills. So learn more about Aravalli Hills. Now about Mughal paintings. Okay, no miniatures survived from the reign of the founder of the dynasty Babur, meaning from his timeline, no miniature paintings have survived. Babur had brought artists, that is this Abud al Samad and Mir Said Ali from Central Asia. Then this Saadi's masterpiece, the Gulistan, was produced during the reign of Akbar. Then Aurangzeb was never an enthusiastic patron of painting. Okay, so these are the type of statements which UPSC will ask to you. You have to know that your answer is 1, 3, and 4. Only mistake is instead of Babur, the second statement, it should be Humayun. So all the rulers and their timeline paintings, whatever development happened, we have given here. Okay, because in UPSC, questions were asked. Once there was a question like, who was the Mughal ruler who removed all the paintings from his court or his palace and did not want it on the walls? So if you know, tell in comment section. Okay, it was also asked in a competitive exam few years back. So this is true. No miniatures survived from the reign of founder of the dynasty Babur. Okay, and nor does he mention commissioning any in his memoirs. Okay, the Babarnama which he wrote himself. Okay, because you should know that all the biopics kind of thing, biography kind of books may not be written by themselves. Okay, somebody's will be written by someone else. Like Akbar's book is written by Abul Fazal, but Babar's book he only wrote. Okay, Babarnama. Like that, try to find out like Shah Jahan's book who wrote, or Jahangir's book who wrote, Humayun's book who wrote, Aurangzeb's book who wrote. Okay, whether they wrote it themselves or there somebody wrote it for them. Okay, then Humayun, timeline, up to 1540 he was there. Then Sher Shah will come and attack, and he will go to Persia, Iran, and from there Safavid dynasty, his friend is there. They will help him to be there in exile, and then later he will come back, but within 1 year he will die. So that is his story, and he only brought these two painters while coming back from Persia. Okay, so that is why that second statement is wrong. Okay, then here these GK things, just pause and see. Okay, his known commission is there of this Khamsa of Nizami with 36 illuminated pages, so different styles of paintings and all is there. Okay, two miniatures showing himself with family members is also there. Akbar's detailed thing is there. There was an art workshop, that is Kharkana, that is factory kind of thing. Then here this Tutinama, Tales of a Parrot. Okay, this is there. And here the Gulistan, as I told in the question, it was at Fatehpur Sikri in 1582. Then Darabnama around 1585. Khamsa of Nizami followed in the 1590s. So like this, all the basic detailing. Okay, this Ramayana Mahabharata was translated during his timeline, and there was realism and naturalism in the paintings at that time. During Jahangir time, a portrait painting also developed further, and it's finer, but colors were lighter, deeply influenced by European paintings. Europeans will come to Mughal court during the Jahangir's time, so that kind of changes will be reflected there. Okay, portraits of kings and queens are there, and they also will exchange a lot of paintings, the Britishers and Indians. And here again, more detailing, like depicting own life, individual portraits, study of birds, flowers, animals. And this Tuzuki Jahangiri or Jahangir Nama, written during his lifetime. Okay, that also has several paintings. And Shah Jahan's timeline, you see 1628 to 1659. Here Padshah Nama is there. Okay, about his reign and all his whatever he did during his time. Then again, whatever is bolded is more important. Okay, the themes. And here Aurangzeb, never an enthusiastic person. And here Muhammad Shah Rangila, he is another king who will come after Aurangzeb. Okay, not immediately after. There are many things. I have given a revision chart to my students. So he was also a person who appreciated all the art and culture and things and all. So there was a revival at that time, but again later it will lose its glory. Which of the following are true? Asian Development Bank defines a poverty line. World Bank has a clear definition of poverty. So here both of them should be true. Every body of this kind of importance will have a poverty or definition of a poverty line. Okay, so this, what is the value of this thing and per capita, how much and all that and all, you don't have to by heart, but you have to know that they have a definite meaning for poverty. Like World Bank will define like this something, and Asian Development Bank will define. Then United Nations World Summit for Economic Development, in that also absolute poverty is defined. So you have to know that they all define some form of way of poverty. Which of the following are true about UN Habitat funding? Around 80% of UN Habitat's income comes from national government. India has contributed the highest funds in 2019. So here statement 2 will be wrong, because India is not the highest who contributed. That chart I'll show you. And around 80% of UN Habitat's income comes from national governments. That is true. Other donors include local authorities, UN agencies, private sector, civil society, meaning from everywhere they get donations and funding. And the main funds are in the regular budget, which refers to the UN Habitat's allocation of assessed contributions from UN headquarters, foundation general purposes. Okay, so like this they use it. So UN Habitat related lot of other MCQs we have already seen. This is just about their funding pattern. And here if you see, India is not here. This is the like European Union, Japan, United. This is the way of funding it happened. Okay, and these things you can pause and see. Okay, they collaborate with government and they are like building inclusive, safe cities and sustainable cities and all. So whatever they do, UN Habitat. And here you will see again 2013 14 times and all, whenever they met or they published some data, that details are also given here. Which of the following are true about Wetlands Conservation and Management Rules 2010? So 2018-19 prelims, lot of these kind of rules and policies clauses were asked. Okay, exactly these kind of things, like it gives a definition of something, or it sets up some body or something like that. Okay, so here it prohibits setting up new industries but allows expansion of existing industry. This is actually wrong, because both of the things were prohibited. Setting up and expansion both were prohibited, and it gives a clear definition of wetland. So that 99% of the time always it will be true. Like whatever the rules is about, there will be a definition given there. Okay, if it's about a tribal thing, a tribe definition will be given. So like that here wetland definition is given. So here if you see, prohibited things are reclamation of wetlands, setting up new industries and expansion of existing industry, manufacture, handling or storage of disposal of hazardous substances under certain acts. Okay, so here solid waste dumping, discharge of untreated waste, construction of a permanent nature. Okay, so all these things are prohibited, so that you can pause and see. And again detailed clauses are there. Here if you see, wetland means what, a definition is there, and this encompasses the drainage area or catchment area of the wetlands are determined by the authority. Central government with powers under Environment Protection Act constituted something called Central Wetlands Regulatory Authority, whose chair is the Secretary of Ministry of Environment and Forest. This also just by heart it, because else UPSC will tell like the Union Minister chairs this thing. It's not Union Minister, it is the Secretary who will chair the Central Wetlands Regulatory Authority. Which of the following are true as per National Commission for Minorities Act 1992? It explicitly mentions the criteria and procedure for classifying a religion as minority. Chairperson of the National Commission of Minority should himself be from minority. So here the first statement you will know that it is false, because in this country there is nothing like how will you decide something as a minority. There is no specific criteria mentioned. Okay, it's all number games and it all depends on the governments. Okay, so chairperson of the National Commission, that second statement is true. So there is no criteria or procedure mentioned. Minority is notified by the central government. Okay, and minority, that is what is defined. Okay, inside the rules this is what is defined. Then the National Commission for Minorities, if you see, it will have chairperson, vice chairperson and 5 members nominated by the central government, and they should be, the chairman should be among the minority community. Okay, which of the following are true about Initiative for Climate Action Transparency, ICAT? So this kind of climate related, at least one body will be there in this year's question paper also, which you will feel like from where did they pick up the question. Okay, meaning it will not be there in your economic survey, it will not be there in your news, current affair, textbooks, nowhere it will be there, but still they'll pick up something and ask. So that time if it's easy statements, try to attempt it, they'll simply skip it. Okay, because if you don't know, if after this much hard work, then your person sitting next to you also will not know it. So if you don't want to take a risk, don't take on these kind of questions, because it will be difficult for everyone. Okay, so here it was founded to respond to the critical need to support improved transparency and capacity building under the Paris Agreement. This is actually true, and India is one of the partner country invited to this framework. That is also true. So full detailing is given here. It was founded for the same thing under Paris Agreement to support improved transparency and all. And here it was created as an unincorporated multi-stakeholder partnership by the Children's Investment Fund Foundation, then Climate Works Foundation, German Federal Ministry. So these kind of not very big popular bodies which these people together have formed this ICAT. And implementation partners are this UNEP is there, World Resource Institute is there, Institute of Environmental Protection and Research is there, New Climate Institute, GHG Management Institute, okay, Climate Country. So like this, these maybe some of them So these are the partners now, okay, implementing partners. And here if you see, they're working with developing countries to strengthen the capacity to assess climate actions and report the progress which you make under this Paris Agreement based on individual country needs. And here you see it is partnering with countries in Africa, Asia, Latin America, and the Caribbean. 40 countries below have been invited to join ICAT, in which India is also one country. So I have given continent wise, like Africa is there, Asia is there, Pacific is there, Latin American and Caribbean is there. So all these were invited to join the ICAT. Now, which are the following are listed under UNESCO Heritage Sites from India? Okay, about this, maybe a video series also we'll plan for you just before prelims. Although, even though it's completely done in my revision charts and my lectures, it's already there. So, caves, if you say Ajanta, Ellora, Elephanta, all three are there. Kaziranga National Park, this Kealo Dev National Park, Kanchenjunga National Park, all they are there. Group of monuments at this Patadakal, Hampi, Mahabalipuram, okay, in the south, they are also there. City of Ahmedabad and City of Jaipur. So all of these are there in the UNESCO heritage sites, and you should see the latest current affairs also. Okay, this was made 1 year back, so this content may be missing 1 or 2 items, but we have grouped it here. You can pause this and by heart this in an order, so you will know like these are the greenery kind of thing, these are the caves and monuments kind of thing, these are the churches and temples kind of thing, then railways are there, monuments are there, Buddhist centers are there. So I've grouped it so that it's easy for by hearting. Okay, you have to have a glance because UPSC will definitely ask. Don't think like it is like more than 20-25 items, so UPSC will not ask, they will surely ask. Okay, so please know that what all are there in the UNESCO heritage site, what all are there in the UNESCO biosphere program, what all are there in the UNESCO intangible heritage site. Like that, UNESCO has many listing. Okay, in that everything you have to know the entire entries from India. Which are the following are true about Ajanta caves? The first Buddhist cave monuments at Ajanta dated back from the Gupta period. This is wrong because the first Buddhist cave was there in the BC time. Gupta is in the 300 AD time. Right from the BC time, it was there, Ajanta caves. So this is wrong. Then it includes the largest single monolithic rock excavation in the world, the Kailasha temple, a chariot-shaped monument dedicated to Lord Shiva. This is again wrong because this is not in Ajanta cave, this is in Ellora caves. So Ajanta and Ellora, UPSC used to ask continuous questions, but in the last 3-4 years, they have stopped asking it, okay, because they are shifting into more Buddhist and Jainism terminologies nowadays. But still we can't tell when they will come back with this. So first thing you have to know, these are part of UNESCO heritage sites, okay. So and the timeline, if you see, Ajanta first Buddhist cave around 2nd and 1st century BC, it was there, okay. During the Gupta time, many more richly decorated caves were added. Paintings are there, Buddhist art is there. Location is in Maharashtra in Aurangabad district. And here if you see, there are a lot of caves. One difference you should know, Ajanta caves are everything Buddhist caves. Ellora you have Jaina, Buddhist and Hindu, all the caves. That also I have different MCQs in which you will come to know which caves are more. Meaning is it Hindu caves, is it Buddhist cave, is it Jaina? And out of that also in Buddhist, is it Mahayana caves which are more or Hinayana caves which are more? This kind of things is what UPSC will ask you, and that's already covered in various other test series. Okay, if you don't know, either join a test series or try to find out from Google. Okay. Identify the festival. It is an annual pilgrimage yatra to the town of Pandharpur. This pallakis, that is palanquin processions, carrying the paduka footprints of the deity and various saints, most notably Dhyaneshwar, are taken from their respective shrines to Pandharpur. The tradition is more than 700 to 800 years old. It culminates at the Vithoba temple on the holy occasion of Ashadhi Ekadashi. So this kind of questions, okay, UPSC may not give this description type now because in the 90s they used to ask like this, but they will ask something else, match the following type, and they have already asked all these 3 options, which is you see here in 2018, match the following came, meaning the location and the related festival, okay, festival and location. So here with Dhaneshwar, you would have at least guessed like it is in Maharashtra region, okay. So here if you see, it's an annual pilgrimage yatra, okay, Vari is the answer, Pandharpur Vari. So that town is this again, and here God Vithoba. And here the remaining details are there about that festival, which you should pause and see because we can't predict when they will come back with the same thing again. Okay. And here the other options, Nanda Devi Raj Jat, Uttarakhand, that you could already guess, I think, in the Garhwal division. And there, what and all is happening, like organized every 12 years, this is happening. So that details you see. Then here, this Chalio or Chalo Sahib, this one is a 40-day long celebration by the Sindhi Hindu community. Okay. And here again, Thanksgiving celebration to Varunadeva and Jhelulal. And here, keeping the tradition alive, Hindus in the even today celebrate the event by keeping 40 days of penance. So these three were once asked by UPSC, that is why this detailing is given. Okay. Which of the following are true about Indian Ocean Naval Symposium? India is the permanent chair of the symposium. All SARC members are part of the symposium. All BIMSTEC members are part of the symposium. So again, we have our international organizations two test 200 MCQs. If my students are enrolled, you will be already having all the information. And this body also at least 2 times UPSC have asked a question. Okay, this Indian Ocean is a very favorite part of UPSC. They will ask something about a disaster or any minerals found there or any location or an island. They will definitely ask something about Indian Ocean. Okay, so here if you see, all of them are wrong. And here the members are there, and Nepal, Bhutan, Afghanistan, if you see, it's not part of the Indian Ocean this thing. Okay, because they are landlocked countries also, and so they are not included. So not all SARC and BIMSTEC members are part of it. For that, actually, you should know what are SARC and BIMSTEC members. That try to find out. And here if you see, the chairman also keeps changing. Inaugural seminar was held by Indian Navy. That was a statement which UPSC asked once. They just changed the year. That time they told like inaugural seminar happened in 2015. Okay, and that was just a year change, and that is how UPSC twist the statement. So here the chairmanship you see till 2022 it is given here. You can pause and see. And they include this South Asian littoral countries, West Asian littoral country, East Asian, Southeast Asian. Okay, so all these countries are part of Indian this thing. Okay, including Pakistan is here, but you should know that Nepal, Bhutan, Afghanistan is not here. Okay, and there are observer countries. China is an observer. Okay, and here SARC and BIMSTEC is already given here. You can see this. Okay, so this is the international organization type question which UPSC is asking nowadays. So please see to it that you know every bit of detail which is given here. Now, National Chambal Sanctuary and Bhitarkanika National Park. So here again UPSC once asked like Gharial, natural home of Gharial is where? That time the answer option UPSC was Chambal. Okay, so here actually we have reversed both of them. So answer will be neither 1 nor 2. So Chambal in that area in Rajasthan, Madhya Pradesh area, western side. So there it is there, and it was first declared in Madhya Pradesh in 1978, and now constitutes a long, narrow eco reserve co-administered by the 3 states. Okay, which is Uttar Pradesh also. So it is critically endangered Gharial, and UPSC every year will ask questions about one animal at least. So Gharial, I will show you one more MCQ. Last year it was elephant. The year previous to that, I think it was some other camel or something, and before that dolphin was there, or olive ridley turtle was there. So they will ask one detailed question about one animal for sure. So please be prepared. Okay. So again, full detailing of Bhitarkanika is there. It's a Ramsar site also. So what are all the Ramsar sites? What are the new Ramsar sites added this year? These kind of things you have to study. It will be there in a current affair test series. Okay. Identify the dance. So movements have been borrowed from Dangyar Kuttu and female folk dances, Kaikkotikali and Tiruvadrakali. Okay. The traditional repertoire includes Chollukettu, Jatiswaram, Padavarnam, Padam, Tillana, Slokam. Reference of this dance form can be found in the text Vyavaharamala written in 1709. So Mohiniyattam, Kathakali, Bharatanatyam, Kuchipudi, all are kind of South Indian dances. So you have to say which one it is matched with. Okay. So this again, detailed 3-page notes is there. So you should pause and read because I cannot explain the entire thing. And this is again taken from the CCRT website, which is the best source for your art and culture part. Okay. Already, if you see our lecture series, Nitin Singhania lecture is going on. The Fine Arts class 11th lecture is going on. Then again, R.S. Sharma we have done. Satish Chandra we have done. NCRTs we have done 6th to 10th. And on top of that, we are giving you this much detail also. So not even one question will be missed if you watched all my lectures and all my test series if you have solved it. Okay. So here, salient features basically are given here. The red color highlighted is the one which I put in the question. Okay. And here, detailed note from CCRT website is there. So again, you can pause this, take a screenshot and read it when you have time. This again is a continuation of that, like how did it start? Okay, the Lord Vishnu taking the disguise of Mohini in between the Asura Deva fight and all. So that time they took it, then which king promoted it in. So whatever is important is again black dark font is there. Okay, so related dance, related this thing, how it started, women or men who participate in that and who promoted it. All that kind of detailed notes from CCRT website is this one. Okay, not even single thing is drafted by us. It is all taken from the government CCRT website. Okay. Now, this something and something have identified a package of control measures to reduce short-lived climate pollutants that can achieve 90% of total potential emissions reductions for black carbon, methane, and HFCs. So here, what are these two bodies which is referred to here? Okay, they have identified a package of control measures to reduce short-lived climate pollutants that can achieve 90% of total potential emissions reductions for all these things. So here, this is a very potential UPSC type questions. You have to know about all these bodies. So here answer is UNEP and WMO. So they have identified this package, and many of these measures involve cost-effective technologies and practices that already exist. So short-lived climate pollutants are these things only: the black carbon, methane, hydrofluorocarbon, tropospheric ozone. This also was once a UPSC question. Okay, they asked all, they gave all these things, and and option was 1 2 3 4 2 3 4 like that. So you have to know black carbon, methane, hydrofluorocarbon, and tropospheric ozone. So make some trick for this: BMH and T. Okay, BMHT. So here they also significantly um, impact food, water, economic security for large populations throughout the world, both directly through their negative effects uh, and indirectly through their impact. The relatively short atmospheric lifetime of short-lived climate pollutants combined with the strong warming potential means that strategies to reduce emissions can deliver climate and development benefits within a matter of decades. So we have to quickly implement, because this temperature and all we are trying to reduce below this particular level. So these are the challenges, and those are the two bodies, UNEP and WMO, who is working on that. Here again more details are given. Okay, what is black carbon, then hydrofluorocarbon, like from where it comes. Okay, hydrofluorocarbons is from cooling and refrigeration, and black carbon is from this all this energy emissions which comes from different industries and agriculture. Methane comes mainly from agriculture and fossil fuels. So like that, details are given here. Here again a chart is given which is taken from the website of their CCA coalition. Okay, so here if you see like how many days it is there in the atmosphere, and local, regional, global impact, that level also it is shown here. Okay, hydrofluorocarbon and all, it's like global impact. Okay, 15 years lifetime in atmosphere, it comes from all these things. Okay, so this chart alone will be sufficient for you. Anthropogenic sources are given here. So just anything important else you can ask in comment section, but the most important ones I have highlighted in black color anyway. Which of the following work is matched incorrectly against the author? This again are a little less popular types. Okay, because UPSC is asking these things because they have stopped asking Kalidasa or any very popular writer like Banabhatta or maybe Chanakya. Those people's writings are lesser given importance, and UPSC is asking one step ahead. So you have to know this because it's mentioned in your regular textbooks. So here if you see, one of them is incorrect. Okay, and the incorrect one is this Vinavasadatta. Okay, that is actually by Shudraka. So here you have to make some trick and by heart this. Okay, if you see this MA, okay, Mahendra Verma and this Matta Villa Prasanam something. So this Ma, this thing that you have to by heart it, because in case it comes, you will be able to solve it. Okay, this one, and then here again this DA and DA. Okay, Dasa Kumara Charita and this Dandin. So again DA, and here MA. So this one, when you see it next time, you should remember it and tick the correct option. Okay, and here if you see, this is this Subandhu and this is Shudraka. So again this like SU and SHU, similar kind of names. So there also if you see, one is Vasavadatta and one is Vinasavadatta. Okay, I'm just helping you memorize this. Okay, so Subandhu is this Vasavadatta and the Shudraka is Vinasavadatta. Okay, so this one, try to by heart the same way I have given here, and then you will never forget if this comes. Okay, because in the options definitely there will be different names. So when you see DA and DA, match it, MA and MA match it. They will not put another such option and confuse you. You can easily by heart it and give it. Gharials, detailed question as I told. They live exclusively in river habits with deep, clear, fast flowing waters and steep sandy banks. Adult gharials prefer still, deep pools formed at sharp river bends and river confluences. Young gharials are found in much shallower, rapid flowing stretches in the water. So, a very detailed thing we have picked up from that website. So, here all three are true. Their characteristics and their habitat, all these are taken from that only. Okay, this highlighted one is the one which we put in question. And remaining, they are among the largest crocodiles, up to 7 meters in length and all, and they're critically endangered. Here there are different other common names are given, fish eating crocodile and all they are called. Okay, so here widely distributed once upon a time. Okay, they were widely distributed in Ganga, Brahmaputra and all these places, and even Irrawaddy river of Myanmar. Today their major population is in the tributaries of Ganga river, the Chambal and the Girva rivers in India, and the Rapti Narayani river in Nepal. So it's not like it's found only in India, it is there in Nepal also. It used to be found in Myanmar also. Okay, and India, gharial reserves are located in 3 states: Uttar Pradesh, Madhya Pradesh, and Rajasthan. Okay, the Chambal site. Again, major threats: the habitat problem, depletion of prey, then dry months water level is going down, then harvesting of eggs and poaching for the use of its body parts as medicine. So the usual things which a crocodile you can imagine, all these kind of problems are there. Okay, the threats which they face. Which of the following are true about PM Care Fund? So its trustees include the Ministry of Defense, Home Affairs and Finance. Contributions by companies towards the PM Care Fund will count towards mandatory corporate social responsibility. Corporate social responsibility means every company have to give, like if their profit is this much, if their turnover is this much, some 2% or 5% of their profit, they have to spend it on things for the society. Okay, maybe like street lighting program, or maybe trees they are planting, or something they are doing for the poor children, something they have to do. Okay, that is a corporate social responsibility, and it's a good thing, it's a mandatory thing. So this is true, both of the statements are true. Okay, so PM Cares, again, created on 2020, a lot of controversies were there around it. Last year prelims a question was expected, but I think the question did not come. So this year it may come. Okay, Prime Minister is the chair of this. Trustees include Defense, Home Affairs and Finance Ministers. Okay, it enables micro donations also, so a large number of people can be able to contribute to it. The fund is privately audited, okay, not by the CAG or something. Okay, so that kind of things you have to know. There is another one fund also before PM Cares Fund was there. So the comparison between this fund and that fund, that also in various questions I have shown already. So please try to study that. Contributions, as I told, will count towards mandatory CSR expenditure. About which queen did Marco Polo say the following? So Marco Polo's timeline also go and trying to find out. UPSC is asking the timelines of personalities who came to India. So it is subject to Queen of Great Wisdom, whose husband died 40 years ago, and her love to him was such that she never married again. During the whole term, she has ruled the nation with great equity and has been beloved beyond measure by the people. So Razia Sultana, this Rudrama Devi, Rani Padmini, Devi Ahalya. About all of them, you go and study. But this question answer is Rudrama Devi, and this is a online Google book document from which this was taken. Okay, Polo's writings, he has told all these things about this queen, so taken from there. And here if you see Masulipattnam, Mottupalli, all these things are given here, and this was exactly UPSC's 2000 I think 18 question. They asked like Mottupalli is a port, ancient port related to which kingdom? It is actually related to Kakatiya dynasty, of which Rudramadevi is part of. So like this Google documents is where UPSC is picking up statements now. It won't be there in your regular textbooks. So be prepared for whatever question comes. Don't feel upset that questions were difficult. Okay. Now this Sri Kshetra, Nilachala Dhama, Yamanika Tirtha, Marthya Vaikunta, Nilagiri, Shankar Kshetra, Dashavatara Kshetra, Narasimha Kshetra. These are all names, popular names of one temple in India, one famous temple. So Konark Temple, Odisha, Modhera Temple, Gujarat, Jagannath Temple, Puri, which is also in Orissa, Virupaksha Temple, Hampi. Okay, so about all these one question has come already in UPSC, and here the answer will be Jagannath Puri Temple. Okay, which again was in the news because they have that huge festival and all, which happened recently. So like that, please expect question. And in our art and culture test, detailed notes and pictures are there about its construction and all these things. It's also called as White Pagoda. We should know the other Konark Temple is called as Black Pagoda. So that kind of detailing. Okay, it's believed to be constructed in the 12th century by King Anantavarman. Okay, of this Eastern Ganga dynasty. Okay, same like this in the western side in south, there was a Western Ganga dynasty also. You should know at least one or two rulers also about every dynasty. It's all there covered in our ancient history series also, which is going on now free of cost for prelims. Please watch that. Now in context of Indian economy, which of the following are true? The borrowing made by government entities to run various government schemes are not shown in the budget. Extra budget borrowing is excluded from the fiscal deficit calculation, but at the same time are added to the total debt of the government. 15th Finance Commission, in its initial report, advised both the centre and the states to eliminate extra budget borrowings. So here, extra budget borrowings is the topic for which we have made this question. So here, all of them are true. It's true that 15th Finance Commission advised both centre and states to eliminate this extra budget borrowing. Commission noted that there is increasing tendency of the union and state governments to borrow outside the consolidated fund, leading to accumulation of extra budgetary liabilities. Commission recommended that, in the interest of transparency, both the union and states have to make full disclosure of extra budgetary borrowings. Outstanding these liabilities need to be clearly identified and eliminated in a time-bound manner as per the amended FRBM Act of 2018. One of the leading and interesting trends about the government budget is that the borrowing made by government entities to run the various government schemes are not shown in the budget. Okay, so those things are not shown. Okay, the deficit and all these things they have to keep on a par or in a particular ratio, so they don't keep it. These borrowings may be done to finance some of the budget schemes like food subsidy and may be done by government-owned entities like the FCI. If these items are also included, the fiscal deficit of the government may shoot up. These borrowings made by the government-owned entities that are effectively becomes the debt of the government are known as extra budget borrowings or resources. They are also known as off-budget resources. So all these things are same. Okay, both the centre and state are making such borrowings. According to budget document, extra budget resources are those financial liabilities that are raised by public sector undertakings for which repayment of entire principal and interest is done by the government budget. Such borrowings are made by state owned firms to fund government schemes but are not part of the official budget calculations. Extra budget borrowing is excluded from the fiscal deficit calculation, but at the same time are added to the total debt of the government. So this kind of statements can come in UPSC. That is why we picked it up. Remaining these things you try to pause and see. Okay, CAG has also raised concern about the rising budget borrowings and all, because to fund a lot of schemes and all, you keep borrowing, but you don't mention it in certain places. So it will be a problem. So because once upon a time bank issues also came like that only. People keep borrowing and it is not in papers, it is not here, not mentioned. So no guarantee. So like that, the government borrowings also should not exceed a certain limit. If exceeded, it should be repaid also properly. So please read the remaining things, but important things are already read out. Which of the following are true? Kaziranga has the second highest number of one-horned rhinos in the world. Rhino census is conducted every 4 years in India, similar to the tiger census. So here, both the statements should be wrong, because Kaziranga has the highest number of one-horned rhinoceros. Okay, around 2/3 of the world's population is there only. And then rhino census is, I think, every 3 years. Okay, tiger census is 4 years, but rhino census is 3 years. So both of them are wrong. Okay, so the number is around 2,400 rhinos are there. A rough figure you should know anyway. And it's a UNESCO heritage site, this Kaziranga. So that is the only details you know, need to know from this question. Which of the following are true about United Nations Convention Against Torture? It does not define the word torture, because of which India has not signed it. It prohibits parties from returning, extraditing, or refouling any person to a state. Subordinates who commit act of torture cannot abstain themselves from legal responsibility on the grounds that they were just following orders from their superiors. Torture cannot be justified as a means to protect public safety or prevent emergencies. So here, statement 2, 3, 4, you would be seeing like it's almost like looking true only. It can be true. The first one, whether India signed it or not, that is the confusion now. So India has signed it, but India has not ratified it. Okay, so anyway, so that makes this statement wrong, because it's telling India has not signed it, but India has signed it. Okay, but not ratified. And about the definition of torture, it is defined there, okay, in their own ways, which India could not accept also, because any form of thing they'll call as torture. So that will be a problem for India. So India did not ratify it. Okay. So here, this kind of convention, UNCAT, UN related many conventions are there. And last year also very difficult 2-3 conventions was asked in exam. So please see to it that you read whatever is given. The important article, which is the definition, and what is the measures taken, that I have mentioned here. Okay. Article 3, 1, 2, 3. Important things. Okay. Only the important ones. It's looking too much, but it is important. Okay. UPSC can ask any statement from there, taking their history. They are asking. So please see to it that you pause it once and read it. Which of the following are true about Project Tiger? Every state has at least one tiger reserve recognized under Project Tiger. This is wrong. Every state don't have. It's a central sector scheme. That's also wrong. It's a centrally sponsored scheme, meaning center and state both are funding. It is administered under the Ministry of Environment, Forest and Climate Change. That is true. So answer is 3 only. Okay, so it's a straightforward question. Here some tiger reserves are mentioned. The 50th tiger reserve was Kamlang Tiger Reserve in Arunachal Pradesh. After that also some has come. So try to find out the details. Okay. So here centrally sponsored scheme it is. Since 1973 it is available. So census also happens every 4 years. And tiger related also 1 or 2 questions came in 2018. After that it has not come. But be prepared anyway. Which of the following protected areas are located in Goa? So here again this Kamlang, which I told, Kamlang Tiger Reserve is in Arunachal Pradesh. So 2 is wrong. If you eliminate 2, you will be stuck with 3 and 1 and 3. So here answer is actually 1 and 3. Okay. So here Bhagavan Mahavir Sanctuary and Molam National Park, that detail is given here. It's in Goa. And 50 tiger reserves in India, if you see, 50th is added in 2016. Okay. And here different locations are given. Suhelwa, Uttar Pradesh, Madai Sanctuary, Goa. Then this one is in, I think, Tamil Nadu. Okay. This is a different name, Megamalai, and this Srivilliputtur. And here Dibang, Arunachal Pradesh. Kaveri, this is in Karnataka. Okay, so this hills and these kind of things, if it is in news, okay, it was in news, that's why it's given here. So UPSC can ask, match the following or location directly. Okay, this Sunabeda is in Odisha, Guru Gasidas in Chhattisgarh, this Ratapani is in Madhya Pradesh. Okay, so these are all new tiger reserves after this Kamlang, which was added. Okay, so in principle approval was given. So you have to know these locations. There's a high chance that UPSC can ask you. These are all were expected last year, but was not asked. Foreign Contribution Regulation Act, FCRA. Who among the following cannot accept foreign contribution? Okay, candidate for election, member of any legislature, editor, owner, printer or publisher of a registered newspaper, judge, government servant or employee of any corporation or any other body controlled owned by the government. So none of these people can get foreign funding. Okay, so all these are true, 1, 2, 3, 4. So here the FCRA Act related things are mentioned here, and the full list I will show you, which is taken from their website only. So no contribution shall be accepted by any of these people. Okay, so 4 of them I put in the question. Remaining you can see: political party or office bearer, organization of any political nature, okay, which is mentioned under the central government, association or a company engaged in production or broadcast of audio, video, news and all, correspondent, columnist, cartoonist, editor. So this and all, when you see in options, maybe exam, you will feel like how can that be possible? But it is possible. Okay, these people are not able to get foreign funding. So please again pause and see this. Whatever is there in government paper like this, it has to be learnt by you because UPSC is asking. So that was the 25 questions for today. Please subscribe and watch all the episodes because prelims oriented lot and lot of episodes are coming nowadays. So you have to watch and support. Only then we'll put more episodes. Okay. So I'll wind up this. Thank you and have a nice day.